Design should be incremental, right? So, for example, if you're building an agentic AI platform, right? You don't want to give the agent free access to all your memory, all your APIs, all your tool sets, right? You really want to focus it down to, okay, you do this one job and restrict the access to the data or the tools that are needed just to complete that one job, right? So yeah, I like evolution, incremental change. You can't change your whole data platform and compute infrastructure overnight, right? It's incremental. And then the other thing is continuous monitoring, right? So you just want to monitor your data. You want to monitor who has access to your data. You want to build in auditability, right? What's explainable, what's traceable. Why did the model make decisions the way it did? What biased the model. You got to have built-in mechanisms where you can go back and evaluate what went wrong in case if something does.
I love the idea of auditability, tongue twisting word.
It is. Yeah.
I tend to view that from kind of an evidence of safety process. What do I need? Telemetry, attestations, policy checks to prove that my data is safe, to prove that AI is interacting correctly, that it has these privileged admin credentials if they need it. What are you seeing when it comes to that auditability, that evidence of safety mentality?
Yeah, there's a whole Intel has a whole council on we it's yeah, so we have a team that does all this stuff. But yeah, you just want to build in mechanisms where you can, whether it's keeping logs where you can go back and trace events and sequences. You touched on a little bit as far as identity and attestation, right? Who has access to the data, right? You want to know that, right, and trace that and track that, right? Even in a sense of agentic AI, right? You know, the agent should be traceable as well. You have a non-human entity that's potentially accessing your data. Those are some practical things, and then as far as you really want to ensure that your data is not biased in any way. One way you can do that is make sure you have diversity of data sources, right, and to ensure accuracy in your model, right? So, and there's applications I've worked on where that is really, really important, right? For example, like healthcare, right? The more and more AI is getting involved in, I don't want to say diagnostics because nobody will sign up for that, right? But they are relying on AI to help diagnose, right? But you do want to make sure that you have, diversity of data, right? You know, people groups that are represented, right? So to avoid misdiagnosis, right? So those are just some of the things that come off the top of my head.
Love it. There's actually a fascinating article that I read about artificial intelligence being the first pass on an x-ray, and then it goes to the doctor. And initially, the data showed that it was 70 to 80% accurate with its initial diagnosis. The doctor would look at it and verify. They did an interesting twist to both the AI and to the actual reviewing physician. What the research did was they said they gave AI the actual x ray and then a bunch of information about the person. They were a male, they were this old, they had this many family members, they gave more history about this person, and it jumped up the AI's accuracy because it did more diligent research to somewhere closer to 90%. And then the doctor got the same information and took more time to review it. And so it's fascinating adding a human element, something we don't think about versus just the image, really modified the use case for AI, but also helped the doctor.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's interesting. So I learned AI from one of my customers at the time.